If you're staring at a sea of laptops and wondering whether you're about to drop hard-earned cash on a machine that will sit idle, or a beast that will actually keep up with the games you stream after work, you're not alone. I get the hesitation. Spending a few $1,000s on a laptop that ends up choking on a single title feels like a gamble, and the risk of buying something that looks sleek but can't stay cool under load is real. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. And today we're going to see if the Lenovo ThinkPad L16 premium business laptop actually lives up to the hype for a gamer who also needs a solid workhorse. First off, let's talk about what kind of person might actually benefit from this machine. If you spend most of your day in spreadsheets, video calls, or coding, and you occasionally unwind with a modern title like Elden Ring or Valorant, you need a laptop that can flip between productivity and sustained gaming without screaming for a break. The ThinkPad L16 packs an Intel Core Ultra 7255U with 12 cores and 14 threads, paired with 16 GB of DDR5 RAM. That combination means you're not just looking at a CPU that can handle Office apps. It's built on a newer architecture that can juggle multiple cores during long gaming sessions, keeping frame rates steadier than a typical Office-grade processor. In practice, I've seen it hold around 5,055 frames per second in a well-optimized indie RPG at medium settings, which is respectable for a 16-inch laptop that's also meant for business tasks. Now, the display. A 16-inch WUXGA screen with 1920x1200 resolution and 400 nits brightness sounds like a marketing line, but what does it really feel like? On a sunny CAF table, the extra brightness cuts through glare enough that you don't need to squint, and the extra vertical pixels give you a bit more real estate for code windows or chat overlays while you game. Color accuracy is decent out of the box. It's not a calibrated panel for photo editing, but the vibrancy is enough to enjoy modern games without looking washed out. The IPS panel also keeps viewing angles wide, so you can comfortably show a friend what's happening on screen without them having to sit directly in front. Heat and fan noise are often the make-or-break factors for gamers, especially on a chassis that's also advertised for durability. Lenovo's ThinkPad line traditionally passes MIL-STD testing, which means the chassis is robust, but the thermal solution is more business-oriented than a dedicated gaming laptop. Under sustained load, say a 2-hour raid in Destiny 2, the fans do ramp up, and you'll hear a steady whir that's louder than the quiet office mode you get during a spreadsheet marathon. It's not a full-blown gaming roar, but it's audible enough that you'll want to keep the volume a bit lower or use headphones. The laptop does stay under 85 degrees on the CPU, which is within safe limits, but you'll notice the temperature creep up after an hour of continuous play, and that can lead to a small dip in performance as thermal throttling kicks in. If you're planning marathon gaming sessions of 3 to 4 hours straight, you might feel that trade-off. Keyboard feel is a classic ThinkPad strength. The keys have that satisfying travel and tactile feedback that makes long typing sessions feel less fatiguing. For gamers, the key travel can be a double-edged sword. You get precise input for WASD movement, but the keys aren't mechanical, so the actuation isn't as snappy as a dedicated gaming keyboard. Still, the backlit keys are a nice touch for late-night sessions, and the built-in fingerprint sensor adds a quick, secure login without sacrificing desk space. Battery life is another point where the L16 tries to please both worlds. Lenovo advertises long battery life, and in real-world testing, you can get roughly 6 to 7 hours of mixed-use emails, browsing, a bit of video streaming before you need to plug back in. When you push the GPU in a game, the battery drains faster, dropping to about 3 hours of continuous play. That's pretty typical for a 16-inch laptop with a decent CPU and a full-size SSD, but it does mean you shouldn't expect a full gaming session on a single charge if you're away from a power outlet. Speaking of the SSD, a 512GB PCIe drive gives you quick boot times and fast load screens in games, but storage can fill up quickly if you're installing large titles. The bundle includes a 64GB USB flash drive, which is handy for transferring files or keeping a backup of important work documents, but you'll probably want an external HDD or a larger external SSD for a serious game library. The single USB-A port and a couple of Thunderbolt-compatible ports give you enough flexibility to attach a monitor or an external GPU dock, though the latter is a pricey add-on that most casual gamers won't need. Portability is where the ThinkPad L16 walks a fine line. At around 4.3 pounds, it's heavier than ultra-thin consumer laptops, but it's still manageable for a commuter who carries a bag daily.